Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. If we all just come together, there's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
All right, beautiful people, man. Good evening to you. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight again on the New Black Wall Street Book Club After Dark. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified global financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, The Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. Book that I wrote, guys, A Study of Black Wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I still truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, study wealthy people. You begin to study what they do, you begin to learn what they do. And then you can begin to implement some of the things they do into your life and start to have similar success. It's you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This stuff is all principle-based, mindset-based, and all that good stuff as well. But check us out at theblackbillionairesclub.com, theblackbillionairesclub.com. Check out the book, check out our store, well, now our mall, and also check out our club if you want to become a member. If you are not, that is available to you as well. Man, roll call time, because we're going right into the thing here tonight as we're continuing our journey into the University of Success by Og Mandino. Go and let us know where you're connected from tonight. What city, what state, what country, what city, what state, what country. Feel free to hit the like button if you like to as well. But we are broadcasting here into our BBC TV, our new home. So definitely want you to follow that page if you're not. Still want to give people an opportunity to still gravitate. We know it takes a while for people to start moving to new places and all that stuff. We get comfortable where we are, but BBC TV is where you want to be to get quality content, to continue to increase your consciousness in a sense, to get better and to do better. Let us know where you're connected from. I'm here in Decatur, Georgia, where it's greater, and I just want to go ahead and say good evening to you tonight, as we are going to jump into this thing here tonight, man. Brother Adam's in the house, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Out of Maryland is in the house. Wilhelm Watt out of Toledo, Ohio. What's going on with you? Miss Vivian Reed is in the house. Somebody from Maryland is in the house. I don't know why I can't never remember who's in Maryland. What's going on, Shiro? How are you? From Florida. Tisha Tanisha from Mississippi is in the house. Nita Diane, thanks so much as well. And I do expect it to be a little less people than last night, but it is Sunday night as well. But we have reduced where we're broadcasting to, because we got to get to the serious folks, the people who's serious about this thing. They show up, right? They don't just happen to find us. What's going on with your man? Gavin Freeland is in the house out of Australia. Now, we have been, again, going through the book University of Success, right? And if you guys remember, what's going on, Ms. Butler? And if you remember, we started into this new chapter, which the first part was lesson 4, which was how to recognize your failure symptoms. And so we're going to pick up on the second part of this chapter, which is victims of the will to fail. Victims of the will to fail. Now, I know if you didn't catch the first part, you might be like, the will to fail. Well, you definitely want to catch the first part. But let's start with this quote from this chapter. It says this at the beginning of the chapter: there are seeds of self-destruction in all of us that will bear only unhappiness if allowed to grow. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys remember the song Self-Destruction. Self-destruction, you're headed for self-destruct, right? Remember that? Right? So again, there are seeds of self-destruction in all of us that will bear only unhappiness if allowed to grow. And so we begin to understand that, when in any garden, you have, the grass and the flowers, but then you also have the weeds that grow right along with it. And they will continue to grow if left alone. So we have to first be aware, notice that the weeds are there, then pluck them things right up on out the ground and leave the good stuff where it is. And so we'll pick up where we left off at victims of the will to fail. Let me put that in the comments. So victims of the will to fail. This is the second part to how to recognize, how everybody put in console, recognize victims of the will to fail. This is the second part of how to recognize failure symptoms. How to recognize failure symptoms. New Black Wall Street Book Club. Hopefully got your pens, right? Paper, or use your fingers to type whatever speaks to you so you can capture that thing. Understanding that also as we're doing this at night, our subconscious may be hit. We may, go through some things at night. Some stuff start coming to us. This is all the stuff that people are telling me is happening as we're having our nightclub. So it's a whole different level when you're reading at night than when you're reading in the morning. Okay, whole different level. Okay, at night than when we're reading in the morning. Okay, so victims of the will to fail. Victims of the will to fail. New Black Wall Street Book Club. Let's read. If the will to fail announced its presence with symptoms as uniform and unmistakable as those which indicate measles or a bad cold, it would probably have been eradicated, or a technique for combating it would have been worked out long ago. But unfortunately, its symptoms are varied and legion. If you were to drag a dining, dancing, theater-going, middle-aged metropolitan playboy away from his merry-go-round and introduce him to an unshaven, ill-clad, crackerbox philosopher dreaming in the sun saying, I want you to know each other, you have so much in common, you would be thought mad, yet you would be right. The dreaming idler, the introvert, and the dancing extrovert at the antipodes from the point of view of worldly circumstance are motivated by the same impulse. Unconsciously, they are both trying to fail. Their lives have a common denominator. Do not act as if you had 1,000 years to live, Marcus Aurelius warned himself in his maxims. All those in the grip of the will to fail act as if they have 1,000 years before them. Whether they dream or dance, they spend their precious hours as though the store of them were inexhaustible. But since there are as many ways of failing as there are divisions and subdivisions of the psychological types, we often do not recognize the presence of the will to fail in others or in ourselves. Here are a few of the innumerable ways of acting as though you had 1,000 years to live. There are, for instance, those who sleep from 2 to 6 hours a day more than they need to sleep to keep in perfect physical health. In any individual case, unless the sleeping hours far exceed the normal quota, it is very hard to be sure one has not to do with merely an unusually long sleeper. But when the note of compulsion enters, one can be sure of having found a true victim of failure. Those who are bad-tempered or only half alive, if an early bedtime must be postponed, those who anxiously count each morning the exact number of hours spent in the sleep the night before, mourning inconsolably any interruption, every hour of insomnia, every untimely doorbell, are looking to sleep far more than its normal restorative function. When an adult extends even this, making a nap or two a day a matter of routine, the diagnosis becomes simple. Next, still among the inconspicuous failures, the introverts are the waking sleepers. Persons who allow some activity to pass before them almost without participation, or indulge in time-killing pursuits in which they take only the most minor and unconstructive parts. The solitaire players, the pathological bookworms, the endless crossword puzzlers, the jigsaw puzzle contingent. The line between recreation and obsession is not hard to see once we know it is there. Easiest of all to recognize as lovers of failure are the heavy drinkers. A volume could be written on them, but too many volumes have, where drinking is so constant as to bring on a waking sleep, or deeper, a kind of death in sleep. The presence of the will to fail is obvious to any observer. But there are thousands who show the symptoms in so faint or form that they pass almost unnoticed. All those who drink knowing that it means a bad morning the next day, a vague and woolly approach to every problem until the effects have passed off. Those to whom any drinking means physical discomfort, whether acute or trifling. Anyone who has learned to accept these consequences and yet continues to lay himself open to them stands convicted to the desire to handicap himself, at least to that extent. It makes very little difference that what the drink in question may be. If coffee disturbs you, if you can't digest milk and you nevertheless continue to drink it, you may escape the disapproval which is meted out to the highball drinker, but you are in the same class. And plainly, unwise eating comes from under the same head. Turning to the active type. It may be said that the extroverts who pursue failure as their primary career find so many ways of doing it that the attempt to tabulate them all would be hopeless. But as examples, there are the relentless movie and theater goers and nightly dancers, all those who count the day lost, which has not a tea or dinner or cocktail party in it. No, of course there is nothing against relaxation and recreation when they are really called for after a period of contributory activity. But those who enter an objection to this classification too early and too angrily, crying that one must have recreation, gives themselves dead away as setting an abnormal value on release. Then there are the half and half failures, difficult to place, such as the embroiderers and knitters, although it is only fair to say here that sometimes a light task calling for only manual dexterity may go on while the mind is usefully engaged in solving a real problem. Complete honesty with oneself is all that is necessary to discover whether the rhythmical activity is being used in one way or the other. If a dull stupor sets in, or if, on the other hand, the work is just elaborate enough, calls for just enough conscious attention, so that no automatic rhythm can be established, then it is rare indeed that this kind of motion can be put in the category of true creative activity, or that of being accessory to creative action. Everybody put in console, be honest with myself. Be honest with myself. Now, this is a very difficult thing to do, to be honest with myself. As to aimless conversationalists, we can more easily see that others fall in that group than that we are included ourselves. Sometimes we are startled into realizing that we have repeated the same anecdote to the same friend or for a few days go warily. That is a minor slip. No reminiscent ring, no forced smile on our auditor's lips will stop us when we are habitually marking time with words. When we have the same unevolving round of topics, the same opinions to repeat mechanically, the same half-aimless observations to make on the same recurring situations, the same automatic indignation at the same old abuses, the same illustrations to prove the same points, and a few lukewarm arguments to bolster up what may once have been opinions, but are now seldom more than prejudices. The same. Now, how many of you guys, when we just heard that, a lot of stuff just ran in my mind, like, wow, there are some people, I think all of us in some sense develop this response to certain things, and it's the same response over and over and over again, or it's the same quote, or it's the same saying, or it's the same. Let me read this again. Aimless conversationalists. That's what we call it. Aimless. Just talking just to talk. Okay. We're more easily to see that others fall in that group than that we are included ourselves. Sometimes we are startled into realizing that we have repeated the same anecdote to the same friend, and for a few days go warily. That is a minor slip. No reminiscent ring, no forced smile on our auditor's lips will stop us when we are habitually marking time with words. When we have the same unevolving round of topics, you can only talk about the same stuff. The same opinions to repeat mechanically. You only got the same opinions. You haven't done anything new. The same half-aimless observations to make on the same recurring situations. The same automatic indignation at the same old abuses. The same illustrations to prove the same points. And a few lukewarm arguments to bolster up what may once have been opinions, but are now seldom more than prejudices. Everybody put in the console the same. The same. Sometimes we ride a verbal mannerism so hard that a hearer objects irritably. It is probably a great piece of luck to rouse a friend to this extent. If you learn with shocking suddenness that you are forever saying, I mean, of course, I imagine, do you see, you know, as a matter of fact, you're likely to listen to your own voice for a period and discover that you not only do these tag words, these tag words occur over and over in your conversation, but that there's nothing particularly fresh or valuable about the ideas they have served to embellish. Here, as in other categories, it is very easy to see that there is something wrong when one meets gross examples of the difficulty. And hysterical talker is obviously mentally ill, but there are subtle forms of the same trouble, often hidden for years because we do our repeating to constantly changing audiences, seldom dawns on us. There are still more obscure and unnoticeable ways of falling victim to the will to fail, ways to which introverts and extroverts are almost equally susceptible. Consider the innumerable persons, for instance, who deliberately undertake work which calls for only a small part of their abilities and training, and who then drive themselves relentlessly, exhausting themselves over useless details. There are the takers of external postgraduate courses turning up on the campuses year after year like so many Flying Dutchmen. There are the devoted daughters and sons and mothers and wives. Fathers are seldom found here for some reason, although there may be an occasional husband who pour out their lives into the lives of other adults, but whose offering, since they have never truly developed what was most valuable in themselves, adds no richness and only unimportant comfort to the objects of their self-sacrifice. Woo! There are those who undertake a task known by them to be beyond their powers or engage in a specious research problem. There's a man in New York, for example, who has been gathering biographical details about an obscure Italian statesman since his sophomore year in college. This pseudo-biographer is now in his late 40s, and not one word of that definitive life has been written. Perhaps the greatest class of all, those whose goal is failure, is that of the universal charmers. When you find yourself in the presence of more charm than the situation calls for, you are safe in saying to yourself, a failure. This is no diatribe against genuine warm-heartedness, against friendliness or true sweetness of character. We are talking now about the Harold Skimpoles of the world, about the cajoling, winsome adult, either man or woman, who insists on being accepted by his contemporaries as just a great, big, delightful child, irresponsible, perhaps not very thoughtful, but so exceedingly lovable, even to strangers. There are the whimsical teasers and the humorous complainers, and if they are good to look at, quick-witted or amusing, they are more likely than not to be successful in arousing a momentary indulgence, a tolerant tenderness. It is only in retrospect that one realizes there was no valid reason for the moment's emotion. A healthy adult does not need the tenderness or indulgence of every casual acquaintance. Let me say that again. A healthy adult does not need the tenderness or indulgence of every casual acquaintance. Let me read that again. A healthy adult does not need the tenderness or indulgence of every casual acquaintance. Do you have to be everybody's friend? Everybody's got to be your friend. Let me go back. Wait, I wasn't ready for that. Wait a minute. Let's go back up. When you find yourself in the presence of more charm than the situation calls for, you are safe in saying to yourself, a failure. This is no diatribe against genuine warm-heartedness, against friendliness, or true sweetness of character. We're talking now about the Harold Skimpoles of the world, about the cajoling, winsome adult, either man or woman, who insists on being accepted by his contemporaries as just a great, big, delightful child. Irresponsible, perhaps not very thoughtful, but so exceedingly lovable, even to strangers. There are the whimsical teasers and the humorous complainers, and if they are good to look at, quick-witted or amusing, they're more likely than not to be successful in arousing a momentary indulgence, a tolerant tenderness. It is only in retrospect that one realizes there was no valid reason for a moment's emotion. A healthy adult does not need the tenderness or indulgence of every casual acquaintance, except for a guilty conscience. No one would ever dream of making a play for this kind of response. These victims are under the hard necessity of working at charm as convicts work at stone crushing. They must go on being more and more charming to offset their waning attractions or face the truth. Everybody put also face the truth. Admit that they have not adequately discharged their responsibilities. As long as their inadequacy is never seen except mirrored in the indulgent eyes of another, they can go on without admitting the fact that they are failing. So on they go, cheating their way through life, unless by good fortune they come to see who really suffers most from the exercise of their charm. So there are all these ways and innumerable others of filling one's time with seemingly purposeless activity or a falsely purposeful routine. And they are all the result of submitting to the will to fail. So there are all these ways and innumerable others of filling one's time with seemingly purposeless activities or a falsely purposeful routine. And they're all the result of submitting to the will to fail. For remember, these activities are only apparently purposeless. There is in every case a deep intention which may be stated in many ways. We may say that the most obvious intention is to beguile the world into believing that we are living up to our fullest capacity. This is particularly true of those cases where the outward life is full of 1,000 little matters or one big job of drudgery conscientiously done. No one surely could ask us to do more than we are doing. Are we not plainly so busy that we have not 1 minute or a grain of strength to do anything more? It is not our duty to do the dull or the insignificant or unsatisfying task. Is it not our duty to do the dull, the insignificant, the unsatisfying task thoroughly? Those are questions which only the individual can answer honestly for himself, usually in the hours of insomnia or convalescence, when the mind, which is usually so engrossed about trivial affairs, finds time to stop and consider. In the long run, it makes little difference how cleverly others are deceived. If we are not doing what we are best equipped to do, or doing well what we have undertaken as our personal contribution to the world's work, at least by way of an earnestly followed avocation, there will be a core of unhappiness in our lives, which will be more and more difficult to ignore as the years pass by. I'm gonna read this again. We may say that the most obvious intention is to beguile the world into believing that we are living up to our fullest capacity. And here's my question for you tonight. As we figure out how to recognize symptoms of failure in our own life. Are you living to your fullest capacity? And let me take it a step further. Are you even trying to live at your fullest capacity? Now, here's a way I believe that you could measure this. Just look at your day. Recount your 24 hours. Ask yourself, how much time did I waste? Now, why do you want to ask yourself, how much time did I waste? Well, because the author said earlier about believing that we live acting as though you had 1,000 years to live. Remember that, right? That was in the beginning. Acting as though you had 1,000 years to live. Well, years have to do with time. So ask yourself, am I living to my fullest capacity? And a way in which you can really sum that up and just ask yourself over the past 24 hours, how much time did I waste? How much time did you waste arguing over some bullshit? I'm just, it's night. It's nighttime. I can do this. Now I'm guilty too. I'm not putting it on you. How much time did we waste arguing over some bullshit? How many social media disagreements did we partake in that was useless, pointless, whatever the case may be? Now I'm getting better at this. I think Brother Adams, he mentioned it early. He said, man, I'm proud. He said, I'm proud of myself because there was a lot of these little conversations that was trying to suck me in. And I just said, nah, y'all got it. Y'all got it. I got bigger fish to fry over here. Right? He said, I got bigger. He would probably say, hey, I'm glad I did not go there. I told him I'm getting better with that. I'm getting better with that. People, because you want. I mean, it's not about being. For me, it's not about being right. You're trying to help people, but of course, I think Leah posted her and said, man, she learned. A wise man once said, just let people do what people do, and they will show you what really matters to them. And then all your other questions are answered. Now, let's take it a step further. We all know we probably wasted some time somewhere today. Ask yourself, okay, what could I have done with that hour or 2 hours or 3 hours? See, here's the deal. We can say that, I put this up, brother. We can say, I don't have time to build my dream. But then when you start looking at all the time that you wasted, you say, well, if I wouldn't have spent all this time talking to such and such, or listening to such and such, or answering that phone call that I knew was going to be a 3-hour phone call, that might have gave me the time to go do some of the stuff I said I wanted to do. But then it comes down to prioritizing what you say you really want to do. See, when I really want to do something, I don't let nothing get in my way. Oh, you calling? Okay, I guess I'll call you back when I get done. Or I might not call you back at all because I realize you one of the people that's going to keep me, that's going to distract me from doing what I say I need to do for myself. Have you tricked yourself into believing that you're living up to your fullest capacity? This is particularly true of those cases where the outward life is full of 1,000 little matters. The outward life is full of 1,000 little matters that don't matter much. Or one big job of drudgery conscientiously done. No one surely could ask us to do more than we are doing. Are we not plainly so busy that we have not 1 minute or a grain of strength to do anything more? Is it not our duty to do the dull, insignificant, unsatisfying task thoroughly? Those are questions which only the individual can answer honestly for himself, usually in the hours of insomnia or sleep or convalescence, when the mind, which is usually so engrossed about trivial affairs, finds time to stop and consider. In the long run, it makes little difference how cleverly others are deceived. If we are not doing what we are best equipped to do, or doing well what we have undertaken as our personal contribution to the world's work, at least by way of an earnestly followed avocation, there will be a core of unhappiness in our lives which will be more and more difficult to ignore as the years pass by. Second question. Are you doing what you're best equipped to do? Now, in the morning session, we talk about this, do what you do best. Well, but you have to recognize it. If you recognize what you do best. Are you doing what you are best equipped to do? Or is it possible, I know what I've been equipped to do, but I settled for this job, and now I've let the job and the time that it's stealing from me, right, keep me from doing what I am best equipped to do? Or is the job just a job? It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's functioning as a way of maintaining or keeping up the household, but I'm still doing what I've been equipped to do. Let me tell you, when I was on the job, That's why the job couldn't hold me anymore. When I was on the job, I was still the money guy. When I was on the job, I learned this thing called 401k. And I realized they didn't teach us this thing. So I learned it. And then guess what? Sooner than later, I was teaching everybody else in the company about their 401k. They would come to me. How they found out I know about 401k? I don't know. But they would come to me and say, hey, Evan, what do you think about what I should do about 401k? And that's how I created my first service. So even on the job, what some of you guys call a plantation, I was still doing what I was best equipped to do. I didn't let the job stop me from doing what I've been called to do. What about you? So we can't use the job as an excuse, really. Because I think what happens on the job is you say, you know what? They say, hey, can you come for an interview? You say, hey, yes, I'm available to come for an interview. You go to the interview and say, hey, we'd like to offer you a job. You say, hey, well, how much are you paying? Okay, here's our offer. And then you say, yes. And then there you go. You signed up for the plantation. If that's the plantation to you. Just know you signed up for it. But what about what you've been best equipped to do? Have you discovered that yet? Or have you discovered, right? Have you decided? Have you chosen your personal contribution? What's your personal contribution to this world? What's going to be your personal contribution? What's going to be the impact that you are going to make before your days are done? Have you chosen that yet? I know you guys are thinking, you're like, oh, wait, say, am I supposed to type? This really got me going and got me thinking here. I didn't know I was going to sign up to, yeah, you did. You knew you was coming to the University of Success tonight. You knew you were going to be thinking. The fritters and players and the drudging workers are bent mainly on deceiving themselves, on filling every nook and cranny of their waking hours so that there's no spot where a suspicion of futility can leak through. Listen, really, like, again, you ain't telling me, you asking yourself, have I simply been filling my day with stuff just so I can say my day is full? Now, here's a great way. Here's a really good way. This works for me. I don't know if it works for you. Here's what I found. I found there's days when I go to sleep just because it's time to go to bed, whatever that is. And then there's days when I go to sleep because I've exhausted my day. I know that went over some people's head. That flew a little bit. I got to bring it down, so I probably need to repeat that again. There are days when I go to bed simply because it's time to go to bed. Then there are other days when I go to bed simply because I've exhausted the day. Now, which one do you think I get the best sleep in? When do you think I get the best rest? Which one do you think when I wake up I feel rejuvenated? Definitely not when I go to bed because it's time to go to bed. Because typically if it's time to go to bed, I probably haven't exhausted my day. I just simply said, oh, it's 11 o'clock. I guess I'll go to bed now. But when I've exhausted my day, 9 times out of 10, I don't even know what time it is. I'm literally, how many guys out there like, you exhausted your day. I'm talking about you were super productive. Like every way you couldn't, listen, when the last time, matter of fact, let me ask this question. When the last time you had a day where you couldn't afford to waste any time? When the last time you had a day when you could not afford? I mean, you literally, they called you, but you just did not, you really could not. I'm sorry, sis, I really want to talk. I got ish to do, and this got to be done, and I just can't talk right now. When the last time you had a day where you simply could not afford to waste any time? You couldn't have a conversation. You couldn't take the call. You just simply had too much going on that you had to get done because you was on a mission. Now, typically this happens when you really find something in front of you that you really want, that house or that car or that new job or something like that, want to fix your credit, something that you really want. You start to tell everybody else, I can't, not right now, I got stuff to do, right? It's normally when it's something before you that you really want to get done. But what if your whole life was like that? You always had something that you wanted to get done because you're on a mission. And you fulfill your calling, and you doing what you are best equipped to do. So there's always stuff to do because you're in your space of strength. You're in your space of of expertise. When's the last time you had a day where you could not afford to waste any time? Woo! And at night, of course, they are either still hard at play or too exhausted to consider realities. Yet such victims present a dreadful spectacle when once they are plainly seen as insane misers, stuffing a senseless accumulation of trash, odds and ends of sensations, experiences, fads and enthusiasm, synthetic emotions into the priceless coffer of their one irreplaceable lifetime. Whatever the ostensible purpose may be, it is plainly the one motive. It is plain that one motive is at work in all these cases. The intention, often unconscious, to fill life so full of secondary activities or substitute activities that there will be no time in which to perform the best work of which one is capable. The intention, in short, is to fail. Read this again. Whatever the ostensible purpose may be, it is plain that one motive is at work in all these cases. The intention, often unconscious, that's why we're waking up our subconscious doing this thing here, often unconscious, to feel life so full of secondary activities. Have you made minor things in your life major and major things in your life minor? To fill your life with secondary activities or substitute activities that there will be no time in which to perform the best work of which one is capable. It didn't say just work. The author said the best work. Everybody put in the console, the best work. The best work. The best work is typically going to come from your expertise. The best work is going to come from the place that you realize this is the place that you are best equipped to make a contribution in this world. The best work, not just work. Have you made major things in your life minor and minor things in your life major? Did you mess up? Did you got it backwards? Did you make entertainment major and education minor? Messed up. That don't work out too well. Did you make spending major and investing minor? Uh-oh, messed up. That ain't gonna work out too well. The intention, often unconscious. This is unconscious. Because when you get intentional, when you living on purpose, that unconscious stuff don't work no more. You start to weed out those bad habits. To fill life full of secondary activities, which means I have no time for the primary activities because my life is filled with the secondary activities. Or substitute activities that there will be no time left in which to perform the best work of which one is capable. Now, here's a great question for you to consider tonight. And maybe you want to write in the comments, maybe not. Have you discovered your best work? Have you discovered your best work? This is New Black Wall Street Book Club After Dark. 30 minutes a night to keep your everlasting mind right. In the comments below, I'd love for you to share your takeaway for tonight. That seed of thought that's been planted in you, that's something that was said that you are still kind of thinking about. Something that spoke to you. Here's the wonderful thing about having people. Everything didn't speak to everybody, but something might have spoke to you tonight. I'm simply asking you to answer this question in the comments below. Was this worth your time? And why? Was this worth your time? And why? We don't want you to show up here and it'd be a waste of your time, because that would be just doing what the book is saying. You're setting yourself up. You're putting yourself in a position with a will to fail. That's not what we don't want this to be a symptom of your failure, but rather a reason for your success. So now you analyze. Say, hey, what did I get out of this here tonight? And while you guys are typing, I know I talk as fast as you type. I want to shout out our sponsors for tonight who helped this thing become a reality, which is what we do here with the New Black Wall Street Book Club. The Black Bazaar, the Afrocentric marketplace, specializing in Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, also Black art inspired gifts. Shop Black, buy Black, all the good stuff with this business at www.theblackbazaar.com. Blackberry Charisma, Black woman-owned business. Help make this thing a reality. So I'm going to put my money where our mouth is. We're going to make sure the New Black Wall Street Book Club continues to go on. You can check her out, man. She has all the stuff that you need for your personal branding, your business branding. She can customize your shirts, your mugs, and all the good stuff. She also has a pretty dope array or lineup of lingerie. Check her out at www.blackberrycharisma.com. Another Black woman-owned business, 5-Star Consulting. To be a five-factor consulting, to be able to help you to increase your credit, to improve your cash flow, to help you get to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow so you can walk down the yellow brick road to wealth. Well, maybe you need some help or some consulting. Maybe you messed up when it comes to this thing called money. Well, check out this Black woman-owned business at www.5factorconsulting.com, www.5factorconsulting.com, and Big Sis Media Group. Hey, man, this sister here is the truth when it comes to helping to upgrade what you might have or not have in the digital space. We're in a digital era, so make sure that all your digital stuff is on point. Your websites, your flyers, your trailers, your commercials, whatever the case may be. Man, reach out to Big Sis to get help if you know you messed up, all right? Big Sis Media Group, that's right, www.bigsismediagroup.com. So let's check up on these comments, man, see what you guys are saying here. What did you get out of tonight? And again, I would say make sure that when you go to bed, have a piece of paper, a pen to be able to capture any downloads that might come. As we've been doing this, people have been saying, listen, I don't know what happened last night, but I got some rest. But it was some other stuff going on, and there was a lot of stuff this unfolding right here because we took the time to be here tonight. Was it worth your time and why? Man, best work comes from doing what you already do best. Have I discovered my best work, right? Phew. I need to rewatch this again. This was right on time, holding myself accountable. That's my mentee right there, Leah Love and the hizzy, right? Teresa Gill, you're waking up to purpose and stop letting yourself and people waste your time where your life has purpose, right? Nita Diane said, yes, got me thinking, am I using my time wisely? What could I have done with the time I wasted catching up on TV shows? Don't let my job stop me, right? The user here said, pretend to live at fullest capacity, recount last 24 hours to see how much time was wasted. Am I living my full capacity? I do not have 1,000 years to live. Man, that's keeping it real, right? Brother Adam said, man, always worth my time. Brother Miguel said, we're going to catch the rebroadcast. Yes, man, absolutely. This, guys, is as we're going through again, let me tell you something. Some of these books should really be like, when say University of Success, this should really be like a real college course. You know what I'm saying? Something like these are courses that we're taking here, and we're deciding to do it. That's how we know we're in the right place. I'm deciding to do what other people won't do, so I can have what other people can afford to have later. Right, Vivian Reed said, man, always worth my time. It's great to self-analyze and to be honest with self to make the necessary changes, right? Right on time for Tisha Denisha. Brother Wilhelm, yes, use my time wisely. Absolutely. Well, I want to say thanks so much to everyone that's joined us here from on BBC TV, ERGJ Enterprises, also the Black Billionaires Club is sitting on this left. So I do appreciate you guys taking the time here, like button over there. We got great content from other content creators, the Financial Health Mentor. We got the Empowerment Duo. We got cooking show coming. We got fashion show coming. We got a lot of stuff coming down the pike. So you tune in to BBC, you'll get some great quality content to help improve your life. None of that trash, no trash TV over here. There's going to be stuff that can take you higher, take you higher, man. Well, beautiful people, I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of New Black Wall Street Book Club After Dark with the University of Success. And I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified global financial educator. I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all got beautiful people. Matter of fact, we really need. And thank God, that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ. Hit the music.
New black, it's the New Black Wall Street Book Club. With your host, Evan Jefferson. It's time for us to go. Yeah. Now, you ain't gotta leave the computer, but we encourage you to get out there and learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street Book Club.